take care of everything. Okay, nope, yep, right. All right, bye. Oh, hey, we're talking about anger today, and I've got some really good points on how to control your anger and not do silly things or make a fool out of yourself in public or in private, but we'll talk about that later.
All right, so we're wrapping up a series on the emotions. Week 5, we've looked at joy and sadness and humility or pride, the opposite of that, and love last week. And today is anger. Anybody here ever get angry? Of course you do. You didn't raise your hand quick enough. Liars. That's not the question. It's what makes you angry, right? I mean, honestly, we all get angry. Every one of us. We all have our issues, and it's at different times for different reasons, and different fuses, links for different situations. I mean, we're all there. So I'm not going to ask you today, do you get angry? I'm going to assume you do, and you can assume I do, because I'm human too, and we're all in this thing together. But what is it that gets you angry? What is it that is the source of your anger? What triggers it for you? Again, it's going to be different at different times, maybe different times of the day, different times of the year, whatever. Now, you could say something really shallow like, well, dumb drivers make me mad, right? And yeah, they make us all mad, but there's probably something underneath that's really what makes you so angry. Something is causing you to get angry at dumb drivers. It's not just that they're dumb, because you're one of them. Right? I mean, we all are. We all do dumb things because we're human, and you've surely done that. I pulled up in front of that person, or whatever. We've done something, right? So here's the deal. We're going to look at first some potential root issues of anger that might be causing some of it. Now, this isn't like an extensive list, but these are some things that sometimes is the underlying issue at hand. Number one, it could be immaturity. Sometimes, let's be honest, we get angry because we're just plain immature. Now, we wouldn't call it that because we're kind of nice to ourselves. We might call it like, well, no, we're just disappointed in people around us. But the reality is, our anger is often an immature way of handling the disappointment we have in people around us. It boils down to an immaturity issue. And some of you are mad right now with the fact that I even said that, and consider yourself spoken to, right? Nobody's throwing anything. That's good. But it's one of those things. The company's going one direction, you think they should go to another, and you just get angry. Rather than having a adult conversation or something, you just get angry. Like, my stupid company. Blah, blah, blah. That's an immaturity issue. Or you order your steak medium rare, and it comes back medium well, and you just get angry at the server. I can't believe this steak is stupid. I paid $26.95. And you get angry over it, and they're like, hey, I didn't cook it, And of course they throw the cook under the bus and everything. But you get angry about that. Or you tell your children to clean their room, and you come back an hour later, and they didn't hear you. Yeah, of course they did. But that makes you angry immediately. You want one thing and something else happens. That's often what will cause any of us to get angry at different times. But you react by getting angry, and maybe it's because we learned at a very young age, like toddlers or even younger, that if something's not going our way, all we have to do is react in a certain way, yell, act angry, scream, stomp, whatever, and things start turning back our direction. We learn pretty quick. We get programmed to believe all I got to do is react in a certain way, and things it'll turn out. But that's an immaturity issue. All right, you're not 2 anymore. Right? Well, some of you might be. No, I think they're all down the hall. None of you are 2 anymore, right? Right. So at some point we've got to get beyond that. But it triggers something in there. Triggers us to think if we just get angry, we'll get our way. Immaturity could be one. Insecurity could be another issue. Someone says something about you, and you react with anger. We've all done this one too. Some hey, I see you're putting on a few pounds. And you respond, what do you mean I'm putting on a few pounds? Your mama's so fat she broke the family tree, and well, the first service didn't. At age of us, you could have heard a pin drop. That was terrible. and you like attack back. Oh yeah, well, blah blah blah. It's probably an insecurity. It could be an issue of, well, actually, I really have gained a few pounds, and you notice, and I'm embarrassed, and so I'm going to react in such a way that is anger, and it comes out that way. So sometimes it's insecurity, whether it's that or a work-related issue or something. Sometimes it's impatience. I think this goes back to the expectations things. You expect the bedroom to be clean by now, but the kids are still playing. They have ignored you, and now you're growing impatient. And we all get impatient with our children. I mean, right? But that's often what leads to anger. You expect the people that you're sharing the road with to know basically how to drive. I mean, you expect that. It's a basic expectation, and you become impatient with their ability to drive. And it oftentimes it's the person that you finally honk at that they didn't even do it. It was the 3 people ago that you're still mad at, and your impatience is kind of bubbling, and you're getting just angry at people. Or you expect someone who cooks for a living to have an idea what medium rare means, or what medium well, or whatever it is, however you order your steaks means, and why would they give it to you differently? And you start becoming impatient with the whole person or the people involved. The more impatient you are with people, the more angry you become with them. Anger feeds off those disappointments that you have. They let you down, and now I'm mad at them. Number 4, this is probably an extreme one, but it's out there. It's real. Mental illness. Some people just legitimately can't process emotion. And they don't know how to process things, and at some point everything just blows, And I'm not talking about I have a temper or something. I'm just saying some people honestly they don't know how to process things, and at some point they explode all over the place. They may throw things or shout or become violent or whatever, and they really can't help it. It's not like, hey, you need to change this. Like it goes deeper than that, and they need to actually genuinely get some professional help to help guide them into a more peaceful existence and how to live. That's some people. And I came up with the 5th one of physical health, because this can be a situation too. Maybe you're not getting enough sleep. Maybe you're not getting enough food. The whole hangry thing, right? I mean, we know when certain children in our home need to eat. Right? We just know they're hangry, but it's legitimate. It's a physical thing. Maybe you're not getting enough relaxation, or you have a chronic pain or ache that never goes away, and that leads to you becoming angry easier. Now, honestly, this does not give you a free pass. Hey, my shoulder hurts, I get to yell, my ankle hurts, whatever, my knee, whatever, I get to yell whenever. It doesn't give you a pass, but it should give us grace if we're around you and we know the situation. When we travel, through the years, and especially when we were younger, we had all of us in the car, we knew when it was time to stop, because we all love each other and we're a great family. We have a pretty close family, but there are times when you just get irritated at each other, and I'm glad there's no weapons in the car, because someone would use one. And then we knew, okay, either we haven't eaten or it's just time to sleep. That just comes. So that's a physical. The body's uncomfortable. And you express it in anger. You can't help it. That we're built that way. Sometimes that is a root issue. You may get angry for different reasons, but we all get angry, which is why Paul said, and you heard Brian read earlier in Ephesians 4, be angry. Be angry. You're going to be angry. It's not a sin to be angry, but do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger. He doesn't say, hey, stop being angry. Because it's an emotion. It's often a secondary emotion that comes from something else, like some of the stuff we just talked about, but it's still there, and it's real. You will get angry, but in your anger, don't say. It'd be kind of like telling the person who won $100 million, and they have the lottery ticket in their hand, don't be happy. It's like, are you serious? I can't not be happy. Like, you can't not be angry. So I'm not going to say, go home today and stop being angry. Learn to control it. Learn to not sin in your anger. That's our challenge. That's our goal. Don't sin. Now, since we're followers of Jesus, we're going to look at an example of Jesus at the time he was angry and he responded and he did something. And since we also know that he ended his life having never sinned, that there's no sin involved in what he just did. So let's look at this story a little bit. It'll be a familiar one, and Brian referred to this one as well. This version's in John chapter 2. And there's a big debate as to, did this happen twice? Because it happens right before going to the cross at the end of the other Gospels, and John throws it at the beginning. And there's a big debate. Did it happen twice? Did it happen once? Did John just sometimes they'll rearrange things just to make a point. And people smarter than I can't figure it out. I don't know. It could have happened twice, could have happened once, but we know it happened here, so we're going to go with this story. The Passover, verse 13, John chapter 2, the Passover of the Jews was at hand. All right, big word right there. It is big, holy week, major holiday event, right? Okay, it's like it's the week of Christmas, and everything's coming to a climax, right? It's the week of Easter, everything's going to happen. It's the week of Passover, but it was like people coming literally from all over the world, coming to Jerusalem. So millions of people coming in here, crowding in here, going to the temple to take care of their sins, to sacrifice an animal, to like get a reboot. You know, it's like that time you come and you say, okay, God, man, I messed up last year, and here's my sacrifice. I brought this animal to sacrifice, because that's how they did it back then. And it's like, I'm going to leave this place a new person. So there's prayer, and there's worship, and there's sacrifice, and it is a very deep spiritual time for the people of Israel. They're coming. You don't just travel because, well, I guess what we do. I mean, they really do this on purpose. So it's Passover, and the Jews gets at hand. And Jesus went up to the Jerusalem because he's a Jew too, so he's going up there. In the temple, verse 14, he found those who were selling oxen and sheep and pigeons and the money changers sitting there. And making a whip of cords, he drove them all out of the temple with the sheep and the oxen. And he poured out the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. And he told those who sold the pigeons, take these things away. Do not make my Father's house a house of trade. His disciples remembered that it was written, zeal for your house will consume me. Now, first of all, this has nothing to do with whether or not you can sell CDs inside the church auditorium. Okay, and I was young. That was all the sermons were about. See, you can't sell CDs, you know. This is bigger than that, right? This is Jerusalem. This is the big event. The thing I mentioned. All these people have come. It's a time of worship. It's a time of sacrifice, and the religious leaders had allowed this to become somewhat of a circus. It allowed a distraction to take place in what was going on. There was a provision in the law for what was happening. There was provision for someone who lived far, far away. You live 200 to 300 miles away, and you're going to bring a lamb in for the sacrifice. That's a long way to bring a lamb and keep it spotless and without blemish. So there was a provision in the law. Go ahead and sell the lamb there. Take the money, come to Jerusalem and buy one, and sacrifice that one. The law said go ahead and do that. There was the time of year with the temple tax was taken, and there was an exchange for people come from different lands with different coins, with different people's pictures on the coin and so forth. They would exchange it for a temple coin, which was a more pure silver, and it just kept everything consistent. So there was provision to get that all converted, and people made a little bit of profit, and that was just part of the deal, just like anywhere else you go. And then they would bring the temple tax. Okay, that was okay. That was a provision in the law. The problem was not the animals nor the coin changers. The problem was where it was taking place. What is it Jesus said? Get these. He didn't say stop doing this. He said get them out of here. Don't do it here. In the former years, this had taken place in the outskirts of Jerusalem. They would take care of it, and then they'd come into the city and go to the temple and do their thing. But now it had moved into the temple area. Probably it's believed to be in the Gentile court. Now, if you look at the Gentile court here, you look at the center of this photo, that's where the Holy Place and the Holy of Holies is. This is where God dwelled on earth. I mean, this is where the sacrament, I mean, everything was happening. This is all the action. And people are coming to the temple, like I said, to pray and to worship and to change their lives and get a reboot and to just get a fresh start of life. And they have to walk through this zoo, this circus of commerce. One commentator put it this way: instead of solemn dignity and the murmur of prayer, there is the bellowing of cattle and the bleating of sheep. Instead of brokenness and contrition, holy adoration, and prolonged petition, there is noisy commerce. The problem wasn't that it was happening, it was where it was happening. They came to the temple to worship, and all they're hearing is animal noises and stepping in animal things and all the shouting and the things going on, and it's like, I'm trying to pray here. And I was thinking, the thing we probably do most, where we have like a quiet time of like high worship, so to speak, but the simplicity is Christmas Eve. Okay, how we've done Christmas Eve through the years has been in the midst of the craziness and the busy and the travel and the parties and the food and the presents and all the craziness. We like Christmas Eve, we come in and it's intentionally darker than normal. Even the hallway's dark and the music is light. I mean, they might have some celebration, but for the most part, it's like peace and quiet. And it's like, let's take a break in the midst of chaos and remember, oh yeah, that's what this is all about. Then you can go back at home and do family stuff and Christmas stuff. But Christmas Eve is like this solitude, this somber, quiet worship, reflective time. What if this Christmas, for Christmas Eve, everybody brought their iPads and had their smartphones and they were all playing games with their volume all the way up, and people in here trying to pray, and it's pew, 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 all that's going all the way up and down the hall and throughout here, and there's a big glow from the eye. Wouldn't that be a little bit distracting? Wouldn't that be kind of like, I'm trying to pray. Is that a zombie? I can't tell. I mean, it's like craziness, and that's basically what Jesus says, but in his culture with animals and coin changers and people yelling and stuff, and instead of the spiritual experience that people are looking for, there was chaos going on. And Jesus sees that going on, and so he gets angry, and he makes this whip, and he starts driving out the animals and turning over the merchant tables. Now, I've heard people describe this as just wild-eyed, crazy, wild Jesus whipping people in the head and all this stuff. Like, I mean, none of us know. We weren't there. It doesn't give us that much detail. But how do you move a large animal like oxen? You might take a little whip and just kind of, hey, come on, move. It might be a little harder than that. I don't know that the whip was for the people. I've heard it described that way. I'm like, at some point, all that crowd would have kind of lashed back at him, I think. He was driving out the animals, and then that's their cash flow, so they're going out trying to catch their animals, and he's knocking over the tables. I mean, he is angry, but his whole point is he's not berating them. He's not calling them names. He's not saying, you bunch of dirty, rotten, blah, 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 He's not getting on social media saying the money merchant people are terrible idiots. I mean, he's just saying, we're going to fix the situation. Let's get these animals out. You all get out. Do not mess with my Father's house. This is a place of worship. He was stern, he was firm, obviously, but he wasn't like getting personal with people. I don't believe that. He had legitimate anger and took appropriate action for the situation. So here's my advice as I look at this story of Jesus and think, well, what do we do with this, and what do we do with our anger? Because we're all going to deal with it, and we'll all have it at different times. Here's my advice. Number one is recognize the reason for your anger, and I mean every single time you get mad. So that could be 20 times a day or once a week. I don't know who you are. We're all different there. Every time you get mad, just pause and ask yourself, what am I really mad at? I mean, just use your inside voice, right? Your internal voice. Okay, Dan. Why are you really? What are you really mad? What's really going on? Just ask yourself. Pause long enough to say that. You can't say, well, because I have a temper, it's okay. No, that's not a good enough answer. We all have tempers. What am I really mad at? Why? Okay. What's going on? What's causing this? You remember the story of Cain and Abel? Cain and Abel are Adam and Eve's sons, and they bring sacrifices to God, and God is pleased with Abel's, but he's not pleased with Cain. And if you remember the story, they go out in the field, and who knows what the conversation sounded like, but Cain kills Abel. He gets angry, and he kills Abel. Now, is it the anger that caused it? He's just an angry guy that killed his brother? That was the first recorded brother. No, there was a jealousy thing going on. It was if he was honest with himself, he would have said, okay, I'm just really, really jealous. And he didn't need to deal with his jealousy, not his anger. If he dealt with his jealousy, he wouldn't have been angry. He could have had the conversation of, wow, good for you, Abel. Man, I've really messed up. I might have something I can learn from you. That takes a lot to say, by the way, to your brother or to anyone. You're further down the road in this than I am. God was pleased with you, and He wasn't with me. Well, what do you think that? What do you? He could have been mature about it, but he was immature. It was an issue of immaturity and jealousy that led to murder, okay, death. It wasn't just he was angry; he was jealous. I used to get mad at drivers all the time. It's not that I don't now. I have my days, and if I'm hangry or tired or whatever. But one day I realized, because I was like always, just everybody out there is just idiots, right? They're all a bunch of dummies. No one's as smart as I am with driving. You all thought that, right? I mean, we've all been there, right? And one day I realized, I'm not like a NASCAR driver. I'm driving like a minivan, and it's not a very impressive car at that. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just an impatient person. It took me a few years to figure this out. But in my case, there's still some bad drivers out there, and there's some people who shouldn't be on the road, but they are. My anger is not going to get them off the road. Maybe I need to change me. It took me a while to figure this out. I have very high expectations of drivers. I think everyone who drives should be like a Jesus driver, right? They should be thinking of me first. If I'm coming down the road, they should just get out of my way. They should just never turn in front of me, never go slower than I want to go. They should just always be thinking about my needs, but they don't. Everybody out there is not a Jesus driver. Matter of fact, I don't know that I may intentionally make people mad sometimes. I got to work on that. If they're trying to go fast, I might slow down. But anyway, that's another issue. We'll talk about that on a different day. I figured out finally that it's a problem. May or may not be them. Doesn't matter. I'm the one getting angry. I'm the one who has to change. I'm the one who has to become more mature in this areas. The reality is, every driver out there is looking out for number one. They all think they need to be first. They all want to take the fast route and beat the light and all that stuff. And what I need to do is lower my expectations of them. Because if my expectations aren't up there, when they act like this, I'm not going to get angry at them. I'll be like, well, of course they're acting like that. I expected that. That helped me not get angry as much as I used to. So something in there shifted in me, and I don't just drive down the road angry at everybody like I used to. It seems like maybe that was my 20s and 30s. I don't know, but somewhere along the line, I figured that out. Do you get angry at people at work? Of course you do. If you work with anyone, you get angry with them. Now, maybe they're just incompetent, and that could be, but still, maybe your expectations are too high. You need to lower your expectations of them. Maybe it's an insecurity in your own ability. Maybe it's an impatience in their ability to do their job. You want them to learn faster, or you want them to be better, and that type of thing. And you being angry doesn't change it, does it? It just makes you angry. Now, there might be some legitimate coaching and training and things that can happen. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about anger, right? You can back off a bit and at least not be angry about the situation. It's a maturity thing for most of us. I'm not getting my way. This isn't how I want it to be. And I just need to mature in that area. So recognize your reason for anger. What's the root? Because your first answer, I know, is because they're dummies. Okay, whatever. Why am I angry? So what is that? So what? So what? Why am I angry? Once you recognize the source, you have something to work on. Okay. Oh, I need to adjust my attitude. I need to do that. I need a swift kick in the behind to get me going. Or if it's a good anger, you may have, now I have an action plan to put in place of something to do. Jesus got angry at what was going on. The temple was being misused, and it made him angry. He put an action plan in place. He fixed it. He fixed it. He fixed the sin that was going on. The best thing to be angry at, if you're going to be angry at something, be angry at sin. And I'm not talking about judging the world and being angry at them. I'm talking, look at your own life and get angry at the stuff that's going on. Or there are things in culture going on that we should be angry about. There are things we should just be furious over. Children being kidnapped and drugged and used in sex trafficking and pornography, shouldn't that make us angry? I mean, shouldn't that make our blood boil? Now, I can't do much. I mean, as far as action, if I saw it, believe me, I'd do something, you know. But shouldn't that just get us going? Innocent babies being torn limb from limb, burned alive in their mother's wombs. Really? We just like, make a nice conversation about it. That should make us angry. A society that glorifies immorality, claiming it has no eternal consequences and pulling people down with it. Should that not make us angry when we know it has eternal consequences? You know, not just, you don't live as fulfilling of a life. No, it has eternal consequences. That should make us angry. That's why we started a church. We wanted to have an impact in a little place wherever we could, whatever we could do, whatever God calls us to do, to have an impact on that kind of stuff. There was action. There was action. Let's do something. Do something about it. More powerful is getting angry at the sin in your own life and saying, stop it. You know? I will have a conversation, and later on I might reflect on the conversation and think, man, I went too far. I went from offering a prayer request or whatever the conversation was to maybe gossip, and I know better than that. Stop it. I need to be angry at myself in situations like that. Or I walk away from a conversation, talking with someone, a stranger, or it doesn't matter who, and I genuinely felt superior to them. You ever have that? We kind of talked about that in the Pride Week. Right? I mean, you're like, yeah, I got it more together than that person. What? This child of God, and you somehow think you're better than them? And I should hate that when I do that. I don't do it very often, but I'm got human emotions too, right? We should hate that. Anytime we allow the things that the Apostle John described as the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, the pride of life, that grabs us and causes us to do anything, and we allow ourselves to go there, we should hate that in our lives enough to change. Because once you figure out the cause of the anger, once you figure out what it is, and if it's a good anger, what are you going to do about it? You respond with biblical behavior. Be angry, do not sin. Don't just get mad at yourself and beat yourself up. What good does that do? That doesn't do anything. Be angry at the way you think about other people, and then repent and change the way you think about other people. Don't be angry at what you said. Repent and stop talking like that. Change your actions. I'm going to start doing things differently. And sometimes we need to be angry and respond with action like Jesus did. I can pray about situations that I have no power in, things like the sex trafficking going on and the drug abuse and domestic, all the things going on out there that I may not know specifically, but I can be praying for my country. I can be praying for my community. I can be praying for my church families, and the people I know and the people on my block. I can do that. That should motivate us. Sometimes our response would be silence, knowing when to just not talk. Sometimes the response is, I'm just angry and I don't know why, and I'm going to walk away until I figure it out. At least I won't do damage to someone I love. You have to assess every anger, every time you get angry. I mean, it could be multiple times a day, it could be once a week, I don't know. It depends on you. But as you mature, that'll get less. I can say that. As you adjust and change and tweak and become more and more like Jesus, the anger slows down and you can assess. But you have to do it every single time. The last thing is remember whose name you wear. As a follower of Jesus, you've put on Jesus, right? You've put on his name, you wear his name, you represent him everywhere you go. If anybody knows you're a believer, you got Jesus written all over you. People at work, that's the Jesus person. People in your family, that's the Jesus person. Neighborhood, all that stuff. They all know you wear his name, you represent him. So there's certain things that just aren't appropriate as a believer of Jesus. The F-bomb just doesn't fly, right? If it is flying, stop it. No, but I'm angry. No. Did Jesus say effing this, effing that, get out of the effing temple? I didn't see that. He says, no, he responded appropriately in a godly way. Control that. You can control that. I know you can. Foul language of all this types of, it's just not necessary. Violence, personal attacks, fits of rage. Even when you're angry, the Bible says, Paul says, put that off. He didn't say that if it can't happen. We give ourselves a pass on that, but I was angry, so I got to do it. No, you don't. No. You remember whose name you wear. So the mature follower of Jesus puts that stuff off and doesn't make excuses. And when it does happen, they get angry at that and they change. I've been there. I know. Some of you think, oh, you can't change. Yes, you can. I know you can. It's possible. Now the good news is that Scripture says that God is patient. Right? He is slow to become angry. He's waiting. He's waiting for us. I mean, he's not expecting perfection out of us. That's what grace is all about, right? But he's waiting for us to mature. He's waiting for us to repent. He's waiting for us to come to him fully. I'm glad he's patient with me. Aren't you glad he's patient with you? Man, I'm glad. I'm a work in progress. And I will be till I breathe my last. You're a work in progress, and he's patient with you. But I think the key word there is progress. Are you making steps? Are you taking steps? Are you different today than you were a year ago, 6 months ago, 5 years ago, whatever? I want to challenge you. It's just a challenge for today is to leave this place today with a desire to figure out what it is that gets you mad. Yeah, I know you get mad. We all get mad. What is it that gets you mad? Get to the root of it and start working on those root causes. It'll make a difference. It'll change your life. It'll change your life. Work on those root causes. If it's a maturity thing, maybe you just need to remember, wait, I'm not just mad, I'm just immature. Oh, that stinks. That hurts. I've did that with myself. And if you can't do that, maybe you need a friend who will do that. Grow up. Stop it. Maybe you just need to have a little button that says stop it. They have an easy button, right? Well, they won't have a stop it button. Stop. Quit it. I don't know. Somebody make that up. You'll make $1 million. But assess and figure it out and adjust yourself. If it's an impatience thing, that's something to work on. I just need to slow down a little bit. I need to give people some space. I need to give people some grace, just like God gives me. And the more you give people space, the more you don't get angry at them. I'm not so mad at that person who always loses a stapler. That's just immature. That's just silly. But you know what? That's on them. I mean, whatever it is that makes you mad at people at work. Become more patient. That's one of those things in Corinthians 13. Love is patient, right? That's loving people. You do that. It'll change the way you respond to them. Hey, and maybe you need professional help. Who knows? I mean, that's not a shame or a negative or a bad thing. It's just something that I think people may need. Or maybe it's a physical thing. You need to get your body in shape. You need to sleep more and eat more regularly. Whatever it is, figure it out. Do something. Do something.